Okay, good morning. So it's the middle of October 2014. I thought I would do a little video segment on free schooling. So this is Tinsel. I think he's 7 or 8 years old, thoroughbred gelding. He's about 16 hands, 15.3, 16 hands. My husband and I took him on as a resale project and sold him to Katrina, who's one of my lovely, wonderful students. She was a working student. She's been with us for quite some time. She's on the Clarity Herd if you want photos and more information about Katrina. But this is Tinsel showing us a really nice conformation shot. He tends to be on the spicy side, you know, typically thoroughbred. He's very playful, he's very goofy, got a very silly, gregarious nature. He can be a bit of an opportunist, so you kind of have to keep on top of him, his behavior on the ground and under saddle, especially on the ground. But he's been a delight. He's been very generous with Katrina under saddle. He's developed very, very nicely. When we got him, he was quite scrawny and underweight. He was about half of what he is now. And he's really building up nicely. So I just want to show you, I really love free schooling. I'm big on free schooling. With the lazier horses, I'll do it in the round pen. Otherwise, they just run from side to side and dive in the corners, and it's hard. With the more go-y horses like Tinsel, I like to do them in the arena, and I just teach them to stay on a circle and to change directions when I ask them to. So you'll see, this boy really needs to free school before we get on him. He holds a lot of, sorry, I was reaching down for the lunge whip. He holds a lot of tension in his brain and in his body. So I find the free schooling is fantastic for him in particular. It lets him work out all the tension, lets him work out all the kinks. We let him work himself all the way down until he just wants to trot a little each direction and then walk. And then we know he's ready to ride. And then once we get on, they're ready to go to work. That's the big one with me, is I like them to work out all their stuff, free schooling, so that once I'm sitting on their backs, they're fully ready just to go to work, to concentrate, to focus. Their bodies are warmed up, their minds are warmed up, they're happy, they're relaxed. I think it's part of the reason my horses are always so happy under saddle and cheerful and willing to work, is one, because I'm nice to them and I treat them with love and respect that they obviously deserve, and two, I let them work their stuff out at liberty, and I think that creates a very happy and healthy individual. So it's hard obviously with the camera, but I'm going to ask him to go to the left, and we'll just kind of see if I can do this without a camera person. I'm actually standing behind the camera, talking into the camera. But what I've taught him how to do, obviously, is free school on a circle around me. The beautiful thing with the arena is if they want to go full arena, they can. Just have to control the direction. Now, we've put a lot of time and effort into this free schooling training, and so you see that this is actually the finished product. I'm not training him to free school. If I was training him to free school, I wouldn't be able to videotape it. I'd have to have someone helping me with the videotaping, because if I was training him to free school, it's extremely important for me to be in the right place physically with him every moment, so he doesn't reverse, so he doesn't dive into the corners, etc., etc. But because I know that this horse is already trained to free school, I thought I would get a little bit of video of it. I have a special way of tying the reins up so they don't end up around the horse's ears. I will teach you that later. It always looks complicated at first, but once you get to the hang of it, it's actually really easy. I don't mind if the stirrups come down and flap about. I also do a lot of Western riding and Western horses, and of course the Western saddles, their stirrups flap about. I think it's a good way to bomb-proof your horse. So that doesn't bother me at all. I have had a few horses in my history that could not tolerate the stirrups bouncing around and hitting them on their sides. And if that's the case, obviously, tie your stirrups up in a way that they won't come down. They do make this wonderful apparatus that has clips on either side, and it just clips onto the stirrup irons over the top of the saddle, and there's no way they can come down. But you see how he goes. He just goes around and around and around. I do very little walk when I'm free schooling because they live out in big open areas, and so they're walking all day and throughout the night. And so I don't worry about their bodies warming up. I let them go right to the trot or the canter, whichever they prefer. And he, because he's a thoroughbred, of course, he prefers the canter. So he'll usually go to canter and canter around for a while before he trots. You see him being a little playful. That's the other thing. Please, what I do when they're playful or when they want to run is encourage the forward. Encourage them to go forward and utilize their energy in a forward fashion. I feel very strongly about not putting a cap on their energy, not putting a lid on their energy and scrunching it down. Because the whole point of the free schooling, of course, is to get them, to let them work out their energy and their tension. So when a horse gets really zippy when I'm free schooling them, I encourage them to go forward. The only time I will stop a horse and not encourage it to go forward is if it's in danger of hurting itself. So occasionally, very, very occasionally, a horse will get running hard enough and get a little frantic and looks like it might cause itself injury, and if that is true, then I will stop it and kind of settle it down. Otherwise, I feel strongly, like I said, about sending them forward, encouraging them to go forward and utilize their energy in a forward fashion. And see what a good boy he is. Now, the reverse. I will reverse him in the trot. If you reverse the wrong way, it gets pretty frantic and sort of violent. You know, if you reverse them in a corner, they kind of dive into the corner and bash themselves coming out of the corner. Or if you step in front of them, of course, they slam the brakes on, and you can sort of groan as you watch those hocks taking all that pressure. So what I do is I reverse them through the center of the arena. So you'll see, I'll see if I can do it with the camera. As he's coming around, I'll just start positioning myself now to tell him, whoops, not quite what I wanted to do because I have the camera in my hand, but you get the idea. So as they're coming towards the center of the arena, if you switch your whip, which I couldn't do because I was holding the camera, they will change directions towards the center and make this nice smooth loop coming the other direction. And it's soft and it's easy, and they're not frantically throwing themselves the new direction. But because I couldn't switch the camera and the whip at the same time, that was a little awkward. But we got it done. And here we are the other direction. And then he'll just go around until he's done going around. You see how happy and cheerful he is. Now, he chose to free school on this side of the arena today. Usually he free schools on the other side. I think it's because I positioned myself down here, and so he's such a good boy. He just wanted to be going around wherever I was. But you see what a delight he is. If he picks up the wrong lead, this horse will change his leads if he picks up the wrong lead, and he will correct his hind end if he picks up the wrong lead behind, or if he swaps out and he's cross-cantering. If he picks up the wrong lead and holds it, I will ride a downward. I call it riding. I will do a downward to the trot and ask him to canter again. I do not want them cantering around on the wrong